guys, I'm Adam Wilborn from WhatCulture.
And I'm Andy Murray from WhatCulture.
And don't forget, if you want to listen to the news as a podcast when you are out and about, you can do so by searching for WhatCulture Wrestling on either iTunes, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts from. But coming up today, the unbelievable story of how AEW are going to get Dynamite on TV tonight.
The unbelievably silly story about Enzo Amore turning down 25 grand to fight Tama Tonga.
Some news about Luke Harper that is unbelievable, but is also amazing.
And Walter has a few things to say about Survivor Series 2019, and spoiler alert, they're not good.
This is the news.
But we are going to kick things off with a rather horrifying story, actually. Certainly not something that either of us would have expected to wake up and read about. So last night, Asuka tweeted the following: "I just escaped. There was a scream in front of me at #FashionShowMall. It was like a shooting. #guess near the range protected me." Basically, there was an incident at Fashion Show Mall in Las Vegas, as has been reported by all manner of news outlets in the local area and across the United States. And Asuka, when this went down, was in the building and had to take refuge in that Guess store. So a few details on this shooting incident coming from KSNV of Las Vegas. They said that it began following an altercation with the suspect or suspects fleeing the scene immediately. 3 people were hurt. Fortunately, there were no fatalities. They suffered non-life-threatening injuries. So obviously, the most important thing there is that there were no fatal injuries, but still a really horrifying situation for anyone to go through. A few more details here. Local police are yet to identify any concrete suspects, and they have issued no descriptions to the public either. But man, this is a really, really scary thing to go down. And again, stressing that the most important thing here is that nobody was fatally injured. But wrestling fans must be hugely relieved to know that Asuka wasn't hurt in this.
Yeah, it sounds like a terrible incident. Like you say, the most important thing here is that everyone's okay for the most part. So obviously some injuries, but for the most part, everyone's okay. And, you know, someone like Asuka going through something like that must be horrible, but it's just shocking news to wake up to.
It is, man. It really is. Glad she's okay. Glad she'll be able to get through this. Hopefully, mentally, any side effects that she may have suffered aren't too distressing to her. But this just must have been a really horrible thing to go through. Thoughts, obviously, with the victims of what happened here, and indeed with anyone else who was in the building at the time. Yeah, man, just awful stuff.
Yeah, terrible. Right, let's move on and talk about AEW Dynamite, of course. It's going to be on TV tonight. It's Wednesday night. It's the best night for wrestling. But AEW have, well, not an issue, but have an obstacle they have to get around, of course, because this week's episode, which I think everyone is looking forward to, comes from Chris Jericho's Rock and Wrestling Rager at Sea. It was filmed actually yesterday, but obviously we're going to see it on TV tonight. Now, currently the Jericho cruise is stationed in the Bahamas, but AEW want to get that footage back to Atlanta, Georgia for editing to go on TV tonight. And Dave Meltzer on Wrestling Observer Radio has given an insane account of what they are doing. Basically, AEW are sending their 2 sets of master tapings transported on 2 separate flights even, because to give a vague sort of reason why, you should go and check out the real reason Dave Meltzer says this, because it's jaw-dropping.
We can't talk about it, unfortunately.
Exactly. It's in case something bad basically happens to one of the aircrafts.
Yeah, like the exact wording Dave uses is very interesting and definitely worth listening to. The thing with it is, with the way Dave broadcasts and the way he speaks, you can never tell if he's joking or not, because the guy's voice doesn't change. He sounds the same every damn time, and that's no disrespect to Dave. I like Dave, but my goodness, what a crazy thing this is. But speaking to one of the video editors here in the office, James Heppel, this morning, AEW is $1 billion wrestling company. Can they not just transfer the footage via like the internet?
A Dropbox or something?
Yeah, put it on Google Drive, send it on Slack. I don't know how they do these things. Pardon my ignorance when it comes to things like this, but this is a mad story, man.
Yeah.
Speaking of mad stories,
oh my god, this is banter.
I've got one here that's actually funny. So, Enzo Amore, I regret to inform you that he's at it again, and nobody should be surprised by what I'm about to tell you about. So Enzo's been feuding with friend of the channel, Tama Tonga, on Twitter, online. Recently they've been shooting barbs back and forth, trying to maybe set up some kind of match. Well, Enzo cut a promo yesterday, uploaded the video to the internet, and in it he claimed that he turned down $25,000 to fight Tama Tonga. And during that video, he thanked Josh Barnett for offering Bloodsport, Josh Barnett's Bloodsport over WrestleMania weekend this coming April, for offering him a platform. That obviously led to the suggestion that he turned down Bloodsport, which is hosted, of course, by GCW Game Changer Wrestling, the biggest indie in the game in the United States at the moment. Well, Game Changer Wrestling issued a rather strong rebuttal of this on Twitter. They tweeted the following. Just to clarify, neither GCW or Josh Barnett have offered Clown Enzo, or Clownzo as they put it in here, 25 grand to fight at Bloodsport or appear at any GCW events. In fact, we haven't even offered him 1 cent now or ever. Sorry, pal. Then a picture of Enzo here with the clown emoji on his face. So Enzo, true to form, rather than just taking the L, he launched into a bunch of crazy Twitter rants. He went back on his word by claiming that it was WrestleCon, not GCW, that offered him the 25 grand.
Easily mistaken.
Yeah, easy mistake to make. He then called GCW, and I quote, some lion ass hoes, and then blocked them on Twitter, which is something else. Although, in fairness to the guy, he wants to hold this match now with Tama Tonga to capitalise on their beef for charity, raise money for a good cause. That's the good side of all of this. Man, bro, Enzo Amore is just, what is he doing? What is he doing? We saw the Survivor Series thing the other year when he showed up in the crowd. We saw the supercard of the G1 supercard angle last year when him and Big Cass showed up, caused quite the fuss. That was scripted, of course, but then the deal between them and Ring of Honor just kind of fell apart. According to Cage Match, the guy's actually only wrestled twice since he left WWE. Can't blame him, really, for drumming up interest. I mean, GCW's the biggest indie in the game, but man, this circus never ends, does it?
Is this the weirdest feud in wrestling? Whenever I seem to go on Twitter, they're all shooting back and forth. And normally, the rule, if I'm right, is the enemy of my enemy is my friend, right?
Yeah. I mean,
like, we've got a pass with Tama Tonga, I think it's fair to say. But also, I don't know why Enzo Amore is picking this fight. Have you seen Tama Tonga?
He's ripped, and he's also Haku's son.
There's a reason why, if you've seen the footage, we ran away from him.
Yeah.
We ran away.
Tama Tonga's been on good Twitter for him recently, actually. Have you seen his handle? Tama the Plumber Tonga. Apparently it's because, according to his wife, he's laying pipe all over the house. So, plumbing and thumbing.
Very, very quick side note here. I want to mention, you mentioned that supercard thing that was on over WrestleMania. I just didn't remember that because that was the one night we had off. You went to it, obviously, with the likes of the Dudley boys and Miller and Phil. Myself, Cleary and Jules had the night off, thankfully, and it was our one night off over the whole WrestleMania weekend. We thought, you know what, we'll just get away from wrestling. We're just going to go to a pub and watch some football or whatever, any sort of American sports on there. We get to the pub, we buy a pint, we haven't had a sip yet, and it's like, Bret Hart's been tackled at the Hall of Fame, and we're like, oh my God. So we went outside and reported it, walked back in, and then like you or Phil or all of you were just messaging going, guys, Enzo and Cass are here. And we were like, yeah, good one. What's really going on? Huh? Oh, they are there. Oh, bollocks.
I literally recorded a voice note because I couldn't type fast enough to send it to you. It was a crazy night. Man, you know, like Enzo, like he's an easy guy to ridicule, but man, this circus is so much fun.
I can't look away. Like, I cannot look away.
Like, say what you will about the guy, but this crap rules. I love it.
Yeah.
More of this, please, Mr. Amore.
Right, let's move on and update you on the future of Luke Harper. Loads of speculation doing the rounds about where he may appear. I think he appeared on a Sammy Guevara vlog a while back, didn't he?
He's a teasing scamp, isn't he?
But he could well be set to land in New Japan Pro Wrestling. This is according to Dave Meltzer on a recent episode of Wrestling Observer Radio. Brody Lee, of course, Luke Harper when he's not in WWE, was in a recent Instagram post with Marty Skrull, and Skrull posted with the tag Villain Enterprises. I'm sold. Now, of course, Skrull, we've reported recently, is now part of Ring of Honor's booking team. The Ring of Honor New Japan relationship seems to be back in full swing. So it would suggest that Brody Lee, formerly known as Luke Harper, could be set to head to New Japan. He left WWE in December, which should mean his no-compete clause runs out in about March.
Yeah.
So exciting times if like us and in particular Phil Chambers, you're very excited about seeing what Brody Lee, aka Luke Harper, does next.
Phil's second dad, the other dad being Crater, of course. This is an interesting story. I believe Meltzer said that specifically that Brody Lee's really interested in New Japan, which is cool to hear, and it totally recontextualizes that Instagram post from Skrull a few weeks ago, because Skrull obviously has that relationship now that he's in the Ring of Honor creative team and so forth. So interesting stuff. I would like to see him pop up just anywhere, because I just like Luke Harper. I want to see him doing good things, and he's going to stand out because he's huge, and there's not many huge guys on the New Japan roster, or indeed on the AEW roster if he goes there, or indeed on the Ring of Honor roster if he goes there. So exciting times ahead for Brody Lee.
Can't wait to see him. Yeah, I can't wait to see him step between the ropes.
Love him. Love a good big beefy boy doing big beefy things. Speaking of big beefy boys, Walter's not happy. Walter has given a new interview with Metro UK in which he airs his displeasure about his involvement in Survivor Series 2019 and the build to that. So, got a direct quote from the big man here.
Well, before you, we can just get Walter to read it himself.
Don't think he's up for it, mate.
Is he not?
No.
He's just literally in the office.
I know, mate, but
he calls himself Michael Hamlet, of course, around here. But
he's got that alias for a reason, Brian. Let's just go for the quote.
Maybe you read it. If he's in a bad mood, he does look in a bad mood.
I say Metro UK. I spoke to Michael Walter this morning, actually, and this is a direct quote from him. He says, "I wasn't invested in that. I didn't care. I cared about my guys, my group, the sport. But I don't care about all these people being angry at each other. It was a weird match as well. 3 5-man tag teams and always 3 guys in the ring. That's when wrestling turns from a competition to putting acrobats in a circus show. It's not my world." And it's easy to see why he might be upset by Survivor Series in the build. He lasted only 3 minutes in that match. He looked like a goober. There's a growing perception, for better or worse, that in NXT UK he's kind of losing the special aura that he built and preserved tirelessly, meticulously when he was on the Indies. Spent years doing that. Now he's on NXT UK and he's absorbing like 60% of a match against Joe Coffey and stuff. He's kind of feeling that he's just becoming just a guy, which is what a lot of people's fears were heading into this thing. So yeah, no, I mean, it's disappointing to hear stuff like this. It always is, but he's got a point.
Yeah, it's such a shame, but it's to be expected. You know, we were interested to see what they were going to do with NXT ahead of Survivor Series, of course. And on the one hand, you got people like Keith Lee really getting a bit of a spotlight. Adam Cole showcased entirely across that weekend. Shayna Baszler did pretty well as well.
Yeah.
But on the other side, you're going to have people who take the losses, and it was such a shame to see him out that Survivor Series match so early on. And you just sense that when Vince looks at him, he doesn't see this terrifying, imposing figure that the rest of us sees. He just sees sort of like, well, Michael Hamlet, basically.
Yeah. I'm scared of Michael Hamlet.
They need to do more with Walter for me.
Yeah, me too, man. Me too.
It should return him, like you say, back to just Destroyer, so that, you know, when you think about how he was utilised in, say, like OTT, and it was just, you're lucky to survive a match against him.
That's the thing. He should be the easiest wrestler in the world to book. He beats everyone over the course of years, and you build up someone gradually beneath to finally topple the monster in this scalp-taking moment. It hasn't really... I mean, they've kind of WWE'd the hell out of that. And it hasn't quite worked.
No.
It's a shame. Walter rules.
Right, let's move on to your Twitter questions at WhatCulture WWE, of course, if you want to get in touch with us today. First question today comes from Boats and Hose 5520, who says, with the amount of talent on the rosters of each brand in WWE, do you see them doing another 40-man Rumble in the future, or will they just have to choose some of the top stars and remove surprise legends for future Rumbles?
Yeah, I can see them doing that. And for me, the 40-man Rumble wasn't really my favourite Rumble. I'll leave it at that. So it's not necessarily something I'm clamouring to see again. I would hate them, however, to remove the returns and the surprises, because that's one of my favourite things about the Rumble, and probably yours as well. I think that maybe the best way to utilise or to do Rumbles going forward is to make them more prestige events, because there's so many people there. A spot in that thing should mean something. It shouldn't necessarily be reserved for the top stars, but you should earn your way into the match.
I agree.
Qualifiers.
I completely agree. Just saying, I quite fancy being in the Rumble isn't really giving it its due.
Exactly. Like if Tony Nese, no disrespect to Tony Nese, shows up and goes, hey, I'm in the Rumble, doesn't mean as much as Tony Nese beating 3 guys to qualify for it or whatever. And that's how it should be.
Johnny Stick Figure even gives us our second question of the day, saying, do you think all the hugging between Rollins and his goons on Raw was a dig at the best friend friends on Dynamite? I love this sort of conspiracy.
I love stuff like this. If I'd known this question was coming, I'd have brought my little tinfoil hat, which is actually a thing. I think there's a chance because it's Seth Rollins, and what we know of Seth Rollins from his Twitter activity last year, he's gotten better recently. Good on you, Seth. And people like CM Punk have certainly proved themselves to be a lot worse at Twitter in recent months. But I think it's quite slim. Like, what beef would Seth have with the best friends? Who doesn't love best friends, man? Trent, Chucky T, Orange Cassidy, awesome.
Yeah, exactly. But I wouldn't put it past him. Baron Corbin's watching AEW, so who knows?
That's literally, by the way, the best friends hug. It's literally what Michael Sidgwick and Michael Hamflett do every time they come in the office.
Indeed. I'm the Orange Cassidy in that sandwich.
You are indeed.
Matt Ryan gives us our final question of today. He says, as we'll see this week's AEW Dynamite on the Jericho Cruise, where would you think would be the most unique setting for a wrestling show? Great question,
This
Matt.
is awesome. This is awesome. I've actually thought about this before, and, Bullet Club did their block party last year. Big party in a seafood restaurant, whatever. How about, and this is totally impossible and unfeasible and will never happen, you get like a little block, like a square of a city like New York or Chicago, surrounded by skyscrapers, but you get this little square block, you close the whole thing off, you have the ring in the middle, maybe it's in like a little park with like trees and stuff, there's rings there, you have people hanging out of the skyscrapers with banners and chants and stuff, and you call it the block party. It just seems so easy. I mean, it's really hard, but it just seems like a nice, you can have block party perform if you want a little bit of helicopter banquet to open the show.
Nice.
There we go.
I really like that.
Yeah, it'd be fun, wouldn't it?
Why have you come up with that? A really clever, unique thing. And when I read this question, do you know what I immediately thought of?
What's that?
Volcano. What? Am I all right? Don't answer that in the comments. Right, let's move on to today's and finally, and just a shout out yet again to Chris Jericho's Rock and Wrestling Rager at Sea, despite the fact that our invites were lost in the post, apparently.
It's okay, Chris. We forgive you.
Cannot wait to see what it looks like tonight, especially as a paid AEW shill, of course, before the comments call us that. But to add insult to injury that we're not there, Andy Murray, every single person on Chris Jericho's cruise gets a little bit of the bubbly.
Oh, you scumbag, Chris.
So good.
I've actually, believe it or not, got three mates who are on the Jericho cruise. Shout outs to Will, Michael, and Colin, having a whale of a time on the high
Get him
seas.
to bring us a bottle back.
Mate, I'm going to be in the DMs straight after this show.
Get in, right.
Straight after this
Let us
show.
know your thoughts on that and all of today's news stories in the comment section below. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And subscribe to WhatCulture Wrestling on either iTunes, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts from. Myself and the Dudley Boys will be previewing the Wednesday Night War a little bit later on today. Plus, let us know your thoughts and Twitter questions on Twitter at WhatCultureWWE. And whilst you're there, follow both of us. You can follow him at
Andy H. Murray. The H stands for Hamflet Michael. Hamflet Michael. Hamflet. Join in, mate. I look like a twat.
I did not see that one coming. You can follow us, follow me at Adam Wilborn. Follow us all, as I said, at WhatCultureWWE. Follow him at Michael Hamflet as well, or Walter, whatever.
Walter.
My thanks to Andy Murray. Thank you for watching, and we will see you soon.
Never sing again. Hamflet. That sounded better in my head.